Joining me today is Dr. Bob Weil, known as Dr. Bob, who is a respected sports podiatrist and radio host of The Sports Doctor. Dr. Bob is back on the show for The Sports Doctor is in segment on Run With It. And I'm so excited to have Dr. Bob because one of the things that we don't think about when we're working out, running, walking, playing pickleball is an essential gear, which is socks, which we're going to be talking to Dr. Bob about. Welcome, Dr. Bob.
Hey, Christine, it's always fun to be with you. We were both talking about the fact that whether it's 4 years or 5 years or 3.5 years, that we've done our monthly segment on a myriad of topics. So, yes, socks matter. And it's become a bigger deal with more information regarding, what are the ingredients, what are some of the different important points to pay attention to. And they end up being just as important as a particular shoe that we might be in. And recently, over the past year, Hurdle Apparel, which are high-tech socks, have become supporters of the Sports Doctor. One of their co-founders, Tasha Hayes, studied at MIT the whole world of fabrics.
Wow.
So they mixed in so much technology into the side of whether it's support, whether it's comfort, whether it is a strategic padding, all of these things that, we've all taken for granted over the years when we would take whatever we had and throw them in our running shoes or our sports shoes, whether we were playing tennis, whether we were running trails, whether you were running marathons, and didn't realize that we could take a step up with some particular attention to everything from the fabric to the structure to the shock absorption, etc. Things that become very important, being starting with being comfortable.
Yes. And style too. I mean, there's so many
Great point.
colors out there,
Yes.
and it's just wonderful because I've always been a big, huge fan of socks. And I remember one of the owners of a specialty running store said, "You and your socks," because if you have the proper running shoes, you need that support. So why not, invest? Now, it is an investment, right, Dr. Bob? Because they're not that cheap.
Well, either of the running shoes, but I got to tell you a funny story when you mentioned the idea of style and colors. It's part of my article coming out soon in Lower Extremity Review, which is a magazine that we talk about all the time. We've written so many different subjects and articles called Socks Matter. And one of my stories was, of course, all of us growing up, if we got socks for a present, we would say, yeah, really, that's great. Like one of those kinds of presents that nobody cared about. And all of a sudden, over the past decade or two, we started seeing designs and colors and whatever. I started making a big deal about it. Patients would talk to me all the time. Hey, Dr. Weil, I love your stuff. Dr. Weil, you got your Cheech and Chong socks on. So it became something that fashion was added to the mix besides the sports medicine side that you and I are really, really talking about. And as the technologies improved, paying attention to things that counted. I know Hurdle said they talked about hundreds of tests they did when it came again to what type of support. What about this anti-gravity technology that Tasha would talk about, that Hurdle was employing to allow better shock absorption with thinner materials? And the whole idea of a left sock and a right sock. So what the story was that socks became a cool present to get, something that was fun compared to the mundane, what are you kidding me? That's my present kind of attitude that I grew up with forever. But again, on your question, the investment definitely be more than the junk we used to pay in the past, but it's sure no big deal we're talking $25 and under in many, many different instances. And the idea about, what about moisture
Mm,
protection? There's no bigger deal to the running population than blisters and
yes.
sports population. It's a big deal. So the ability to reduce friction by making sure we're fit properly. Think about it. Gee, the right and left sock could be designed for a right and left foot. Almost sounds so basic. Why didn't anybody think about it, including that technology? Besides, how much padding is too much? How much is needed? What about odor control? And what about perspiration control? So all of these factors go into, are you comfortable in your sports shoes? Again, whether you're a runner, we're talking pickleball, where it's the fastest growing sport in the country. When I first wrote my article with Lower Extremity Review, Christine, in 2021 about pickleball is physical, the medical community, nobody knew how I'm being facetious. Nobody knew how to spell the word pickleball. No one heard of it. And yet in my club, we were seeing seniors, so many seniors on the basketball courts were cut in half and made for pickleball courts. And, jumping in all of a sudden, and everybody was getting hurt because
Hmm.
pickleball is physical. You're
Yes.
moving, you're changing directions, you're running forward, you're running backwards, let alone you're swinging a racket, et cetera, et cetera. Now, years later in 2024, so many of my medical colleagues are orthopedists, podiatrists, general doctors are talking about we are seeing a lot of injuries. So again, the idea of reducing friction, the idea of proper support, which is why we tell all you runners out there and all you other athletes, include podiatry. I have a feature article coming out in the Sports Pharmacy magazine. Jessica Biel Stahl, who's a sports pharmacist, which is a title that nobody ever thought of 5,
Hmm.
10, 15 years ago. When you think about it, it makes such great sense. But the article again is about the inclusion of sports podiatry in so many of these different areas. Are you in the best shoe for you? What are your mechanics, Christina? You have high arches? You have excessive pronation? What shoe's best for you or your son or daughter? And, we featured in the past, we talked about how important it is to be fitted properly. At least a third of the population in all sports, let alone youth sports, are not fit optimally. They're buying what they always thought was the right shoe size. And it was another topic on our show. We talked about post pregnancy, where women shoe size changes after pregnancy in many situations. So, smack in the middle of all of it, though, again, when we're talking about the importance of socks, is again that foot specialty
Yes.
inclusion, especially if your history includes an injury. Then you want to be paying attention to the whole roll of the foot. And again, whether it's the importance of support, importance of alignment, and socks could be helpful in that direction, we want to pay attention.
Yes. So the sock, you can pick like a running sock and play pickleball, right? It doesn't really matter as long as
Yes,
it.
you don't have to drive yourself crazy with you have a specific sock for a specific sport. Although for shoes, we want to pay attention to, ideally you should be in the shoe designed for your sport. Period. You can use a cross trainer, a shoe that's made for side to side stability. You don't want to be playing pickleball in running shoes. You don't
Hmm.
want to be running trails in running shoes. You want to be in a shoe that's got side to side stability. So when it comes to socks, absolutely, you could be in a good sports sock which is a fabric that allows moisture control, a fabric that pays attention to odor control, antifungal characteristics. And I recommend people, they can go to hurdleapparel.com and they could find out about, what were the key ingredients that were included in trying to design an optimum sports sock. And we're just glad to see that there's attention being paid to it. And the fact that if you've got a perspiration problem, etc., then again, you want to be paying attention to that. Now with all the new hoopla with total body anti deodorants, it's amazing all the new, and they include, of course, taking care of the foot, whether it's creams, ointments, sprays regarding controlling perspiration, and foot odor is a big deal for lots of individuals who spend so much time on whether it's in their work boots or et cetera, what it's in their and again, you want to change socks when you start to see the material is losing its elasticity. Then you want to be paying attention, whether that's every 3 months for you if you're a serious runner or a serious athlete, or whether it's 6 months or a year. You want to be paying attention that it has some elasticity left when it comes to, again, being comfortable in your shoes.
Yes, and picking the right size, right? If you are an 8.5, you might want to go with a medium, right? So that's really important.
I'm glad you brought that up. Forever, it's been small, medium, and large in the world. Now there's a lot more attention to specific sizing. So yes, you want to be able to buy a brand that pays attention to your particular foot shoe size and isn't just the over-the-counter small, medium, large world. And we're seeing the sock industry paying more attention to that. And again, you want toe room. Toe friction is a big deal. Over the years, socks realized we can't have seams in the toe area. They rub the toes and they make a problem. And toe room is also very, very important. Again, and if you've got toe concerns like hammer toes, if you got bunion problems, which are very, very common, women's feet, then you want to be paying attention that your socks give your toes enough room. They're not cramping them together, causing toenail concerns or pressure between the toes.
Yes. And Dr. Bob, before we leave, where can people reach out to you if they want to?
If they go to sportsdoctorradio.com, they can go over to radio shows. They can hear you on probably a dozen shows over the years, even though we're still catching up, but they can listen to whatever they would like. Again, the topic and subject matter on the Sports Doctor is much, much broader than some people believe, including whether it's nutrition, whether it's children's sports, big attention to psychology. We have thousands of followers, and we have a lot of information if we go over to newspaper articles and magazines. But if you go to sportsdoctorradio.com, find out all sorts of information about the radio show. I think I'm kicking around 45 years on the radio, give or take a few weeks, Christine.
Congratulations, Dr.
I'm
Bob.
learning more every day, and again, we enjoy participating, adding some good sports medicine, fitness, wellness information to you and run with it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bob. And
thanks, everybody. See you soon.